First and foremost, I'm a Battlefield fan. I love the large-scale warfare, the vehicles, the infantry combat, a mixture of small and large game modes, and of course, the destruction. That being said, I used to actually play a lot of Call of Duty, and I've been waiting for something to happen that would grab my attention and maybe get me back playing again. Along with other Battlefield fans, I'm also sick of this terrible state of Battlefield 5, and Modern Warfare, or the announcement of it at least, couldn't have come at a better time. Whilst it might be a good time for me, the release of Modern Warfare couldn't be coming at a worse time for the Battlefield franchise, with the series being at a low point and no sign of a new game on the horizon. Both games have been battling it out for years, and each have had their highs and lows. Battlefield 1 was a great success for EA and DICE, but now with an unsuccessful title in Battlefield 5, it seems the tables have not only turned, but flipped into Activision's favour. BF5 didn't sell that well, yet Black Ops 4 actually did. Modern Warfare now comes out with a superb trailer, brilliant reveal event and live streams from big streamers that got a lot of people who maybe weren't thinking about buying the new Call of Duty right out with their wallets ready. Comparing the two marketing campaigns, even with Modern Warfare being at such an early stage, you can clearly see that only one side did it correctly. The quote from an EA executive, "If you don't like it, don't buy it," sums up the state of Battlefield 5, and indeed, many people didn't buy it at all. Although I don't have any official statistics, I'm sure the pre-orders are flying in for Activision, with the hype at an all-time high. Even the former Battlefield marketing manager believes Call of Duty is going to be more Battlefield than Battlefield, providing more evidence that Battlefield is actually being cornered and their unique selling points are potentially being stolen. There is certainly room for both games and both franchises, and I'm a firm believer that you can like two things at once. But that being said, I'm sure EA view this new Call of Duty as a direct competitor and threat. And not only that, we've seen plenty of YouTubers also say the same thing, bringing some pretty compelling arguments to the table. The main one that I'm going to go with today links into political correctness. And no, I'm not going to rant on about what's right and what's wrong. That's not really my position to say right now, but what I can say in regards to gaming and Battlefield is that things have changed with Battlefield and the franchise. Politically correct gaming is not that popular, especially when it comes to military FPS games, and that can be seen right here. Call of Duty is going for a fictional conflict, meaning anything goes, whilst Battlefield 5 was tied to history and even managed to get that wrong. If you're going to do history, do it right. If you're not, then really go for a fictional setting because then you can do whatever you want. Battlefield 1 did go for history, and they got the balance just right, whilst Battlefield 5 tried to bring in these unknown and untold stories, and really they were pushing some weird political propaganda, or whatever you want to call it, through most of it. That being said, at the end of the day, it is just an FPS game, so assuming the mechanics and the in-game stuff was fun, I think people could see past that, but it wasn't, and the game is also still broken. That, combined with the setting that people are craving right now in a modern military environment, and you're onto a real winner. Some of the more disturbing scenes have actually been removed from Modern Warfare, but I can still imagine a lot of stuff will get the players questioning their choices, and that's exactly what people want: controversy. One of the largest things that has actually held me back from returning to Call of Duty in recent years is the lack of a larger mode. That's the real hook for players that start playing Battlefield. You're on a map with 63 other players, all fighting over the same objectives in a variety of different vehicles and classes. It's insanely addictive, and when you get the correct mix, and now Call of Duty is potentially looking to replicate that model in some respects, you have everything you need as a Battlefield fan. Yes, I know both franchises have dabbled in Battle Royale, but is that really what people want right now? I think the Battle Royale market is potentially saturated and there are better options out there, so maybe Call of Duty and Battlefield need to focus on what they do best. 20 vs 20 and 50 vs 50 modes will help Modern Warfare breach the gap to Battlefield and give many players that have been on the fence about picking the game up a really compelling reason to buy. Another big reason to pick up Modern Warfare as a Battlefield fan is the weapon customization. BF5 was arguably the worst Battlefield of all time when it came to customization, and this made people realise how much they enjoy being able to adapt a weapon to their own preferences. Aside from that, all I want from a video game is a bug-free release, consistent content drops if the developers promise it, and an improvement on the last title. This sounds easy, but clearly can't be considering the rollercoaster both franchises have been on over the past decade, with Battlefield clearly faring a little worse. With BF5 not proving to be a game I enjoy much at all even after several patches, there is a gap in the market, and Modern Warfare is filling it. Fans have been starved from that incredibly popular modern setting in recent Battlefield games, and to be honest, in some Call of Duty games, and many will be ready to jump ship and just play Modern Warfare. There are some interesting details that I'm personally super excited for with Modern Warfare, and these might just be enough for me to pick up my first Call of Duty game in years. First of all, projectile bullets. You've got travel time and different caliber rounds. This is straight from Battlefield, and it's something that a lot of people like. Hit scan in Call of Duty is fun, I suppose, for the close quarters modes, but whenever things get big on a larger map with larger engagement ranges, having projectile bullets and that travel time is very fun and satisfying. Ground War coming in with up to 100 players. This again pins right into what Battlefield has been doing. Vehicles and infantry alongside each other. This is just like Battlefield, and essentially in this setting, and if it works properly, I think we'll be having a lot of fun. As I mentioned before, full gun customization with the new gunsmith system with 30 to 40 attachments per weapon is exactly what I want to see. It's what I loved about Battlefield 3 and 4. It has a lot of depth and the UI looks fantastic. Something that the Battlefield 5 players have really been at war about because the UI in BF5 sucks. 100 player battles, as I said, with Ground War. Even Firestorm in Battlefield 5 was only 64 players. Pretty much empty. Modern Warfare is placing a net over all the possible player counts, attempting to combat Battlefield and take one of its unique selling points. Next up we have the smaller game modes. Whilst Battlefield does attempt to achieve some smaller game modes and maybe even some success, some might argue, with things like TDM and Squad Conquest, I can say that Call of Duty has always done this better in recent titles. We did have incursions in Battlefield 1, but that was quite a weak attempt at bringing competitive to Battlefield. Not since Battlefield 4 have we actually seen a competitive scene that meant too much. There was a bit in Hardline, and yes, people do scrim in the more current games, but it's not really the same thing. Call of Duty might be what a lot of people want if they're trying to get into that competitive environment, and as a YouTuber who focuses on top plays, it might be quite good to see this. We also have crossplay, console to console and console to PC. This is groundbreaking because we haven't seen it in many other FPS games, and never in Call of Duty or Battlefield. Finally, no season pass, but can they do the live service properly? This is probably the biggest sticking point for me, considering Battlefield 5 made a complete mess of the live service, and this may be replicated by Activision. DICE are a competent studio and they've struggled with it. Activision, the same thing. Who knows what's going to happen? What can DICE do to combat this? Firstly, focus on the task at hand and fix BF5. Will players come flooding back to play it? Probably not. Maybe they will, but in all honesty, I think what's happened has happened. However, what it would do is set a strong foundation for the next game. Battlefield 2020 or Battlefield 6, whatever they choose to call it, will almost certainly go back to the modern setting, and with a flawless release and a Battlefield 1 style marketing campaign, the battle will once again be on between Call of Duty and Battlefield. There is going to be a large span though between the two, and we'll see how much ground Call of Duty can make up in the meantime. Finally, I'll pitch you this question. Is Call of Duty going to be the Battlefield killer? Or is it something else? Somebody commented on another video saying that it's not Call of Duty that's ruining Battlefield, it's EA, or the developers. They're trying to take it down a route that isn't suitable. They're trying to make it too many things and fill it full of stuff that people don't want, instead of focusing on what Battlefield has always done best. All-out war, just mega online multiplayer fun. Can they bring that fun aspect back? Can they get people online and playing? I'm not too sure it will ever happen with Battlefield 5, but there are lessons to be learned for the next game. Thanks for watching, leave your comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.